Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the first roundtable of the year 2025. And so I know that many of you are home today, and those of you that are not at home, you're at your district getting bad weather, and you probably have 1,000 things that you could be doing right now. So we really appreciate you guys hopping on today and being willing to help each other out. We have a full agenda today, so I'm going to get right with it. Chelsea, can you see the slideshow okay? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, again, appreciate all of you being here. This is the January 9th, 2025 CTAT Roundtable. Of course, this is the first one of the 25 year. Denny Crane always likes to give us a legal notice because these Zoom based meetings are posted on social media platforms such as YouTube. So if you do not wish to have your picture displayed on the YouTube screen, then make sure you participate with your video turned off. Again, celebrating 225 years of CTAT this year. Thank all of you guys for being part of the association as we continue to celebrate year long. Again, this is our fifth season of the Roundtable. And if you're new to the Roundtable, these started off as just COVID updates, and they became so successful and such a great opportunity for everyone to share with each other. I think this has been one of the great things that CTAT is able to offer are these networking opportunities. Uh, Piff the Magic Dragon says, Happy New Year 2025. And there's Pop the Magic Dragon says, certainly accomplished this year. And I would agree with both of them, a lot to accomplish. One of the best things about New Year's are the great memes that come out. And I think I could point to several people on the screen here and say, let's pretend like we're going to be better people in the new year. That one tickled me. I don't know why. Willie Wonka says, let me guess, New Year, New You. Yes, that's a good too. And also, for those of you back in July, I had a new grandbaby, and she said her first words the other day. She said, "So if you say Happy New Year one more time, see what happens. I dare you." She looks a little mean there, but most times she's a happy baby. But she's a little bit tired of hearing Happy New Year. On this day in 1935, Gilligan, his real name Bob Denver, was born. And of course, we all remember him from Gilligan's Island. And for those of you a little bit older, maybe Dobie Gillis. And in 1944, Jimmy Page, who was a guitarist with the Yardbirds and later Led Zeppelin, certainly one of the great guitarists of all times. And I really had to struggle with this last one. Sergio Garcia, a Spanish golfer that won the 2022 Masters, was born in 1980. Not my favorite golfer, Rick, but certainly well worth of a birthday mention on the CTAT Roundtable. Some interesting events happened in 1962. Apollo announced plans to build the Saturn rocket, or more specifically, the C5 launch vehicle that ended up taking humans to the moon as we had 12 men walking in 2007. And Robin, I didn't know that this had been this soon. 2007 is when the first iPhone um, was introduced at the Mac World keynote in San Francisco. And it's just hard to, I certainly remember when there were no iPhones, but it seems like it was a long time ago, but in fact, it was just a few years. And again, we always talk this week in January is always Elvis's birthday week. So we always wish happy birthday to the king. And he's getting an extra birthday bump there from Piff and Mr. Piffles. Happy birthday, Elvis. And again, like all of this time, working together, that's what these roundtables are all about. And I'll say it one more time. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate you showing up here just to share your knowledge and help out other members. We always like to thank our board of directors. Thank you guys for the input and the leadership and the direction that you provide to CTAT, as well as the area presidents who met at 1 o'clock. Um, thank you guys so much for what you do and providing leadership in your areas. It's the strong areas make a strong CTAT. If you're new to CTAT, and I know a few people in here are, a little bit about the program. We do the next gen administrators for those folks with less than 5 years experience. These monthly roundtables, professional conferences, which we'll talk about in a little bit. If you need in-district professional development, um, certainly we're available to do that. We're available to do district program evaluations, and we still have 2 or 3 slots open for the spring if you'd like to get a program evaluation in. Uh, also, I don't know of any, but sometimes the service centers will not have a person that they'll be in between people. And certainly they provide excellent MOA support. But if you do need MOA support, Chelsea is very good at that. And she's worked with a couple of districts this year already. And the area outreach trainings, which we'll cover in a minute. We're really proud of the success that we've had with the regional outreach trainings. We think that it makes CTAT stronger across the state. And our our newest training that we're really pushing this year is the Campus CTE coach. We have over 200 trained in the state. We've had those at the Woodlands, at the Birdville CTE Center, at Wichita Falls. Thank you, Miles. And we're going to wrap up 2025 with trainings in El Paso. Thank you to Hugo and his folks, and also the folks at Region 19 for helping us out with the facility. And to Britton Schultz, on March 5th, we're going to have Campus CTE coach at the new Georgetown CTE Center. Thank you, Britton, for all the help and support that you're giving us for that training on March 5th. So anyway, look for that. We've talked many times about,
I guess it was just glitching because now I have like 4 of them open.
I know, that's what I said too. Uh, but we talked about the importance of a campus CTE coach because it puts the resource where the teachers are most likely to make use of it, and that's with a fellow teacher down the hall. Also, one of the trainings that's coming up soon, and we probably haven't promoted it as much as we have, but campus plus CTE plus campus administrator training is going to be February 25th in Allen. And this is a training that came directly from the area presidents. And too often, the CTE administrators and the campus administrators are at odds. And I've always said that's because the campus administrators are really, by the nature of their job, they have to look at improving tomorrow, where CTE is really looking more 5 years down the road and setting up processes and systems in place to make CTE successful for the long term. But if you want to come as a team, we suggest that CTE and the campus administrators come to a team, just like we do with CTE and finance. Come as a team. A lot of that adversarialness could be avoided with just a little planning and being able to see each other's perspective. So make sure that you really look into this. Grab your principal, grab your assistant principal, whoever the person is that you kind of deal with the most on the campus. Bring them to CTE plus campus administrating. Let the campus administrators hear your point of view, and you'll get to hear the point of view of campus administrators too, and you'll get to understand each other better. And once they understand more of what you're doing, then it should work a lot smoother on the campus. So we're going to have our first inaugural campus plus CTE, campus admin plus CTE training February 24th at the Courtyard Dallas and Event Center. Work harder, not smarter. When you're able to work as a team with your campus administrator, that's when the programs are going to be at their best. Everything that we've just discussed, including all the conferences, can be found on the CTAT.org events page. Coming up February 10th through the 12th in San Antonio at the Grand Hyatt is going to be the annual winter conference. If you haven't registered yet, make sure that you get on there and register. This is going to be a great conference. We were talking to the area presidents in Lindsay's meeting at 1 o'clock, and Chelsea was going over all the presentations that are coming. I'm telling you, folks, there are some great presentations that are going to be there. and the networking ability that you'll have. I think we're going to have a great reception as usual. We certainly appreciate it. If you're going to a pre-con, then Careercraft is going to be hosting a reception immediately after the pre-con. We'll be sending out more information on that. But we have a lot of new activities and a lot of new events that we're going to have available at this conference. And we really think it's going to be a great one. And we thank you for attending and look forward to being, even Bart Simpson's going to be there. Area 7 has arranged for riverboat tours or river walk boat tours, and it's a great opportunity for you to get to float down the river walk on, and you don't have to spend the entry fee there to get on the boats. Miss Massey, would you mind sharing a little bit about these boat tours?
We are. So Area 7, with the help of some of our local partnerships, are sponsoring 3 boats for winter conference. And it's going to be first come, first serve. So once they're full, we can't allow anyone else on, unfortunately. But it's an hour-long tour that they take you along the Riverwalk and talk to you about all the historical buildings that are along there. So it's really fun if you've never done it. And it's free of charge to anybody. But it is first come, first serve. The pickup location is going to be on the lower level right there underneath the Grand Hyatt along the Riverwalk. So we hope everybody can come out and join us and meet our business partners that are joining us as well.
And it's right there at Ruth Chris. Like if you walk out that little bar area and downstairs, or right before you walk in that little bar area downstairs, Ruth Chris, when you walk out, and that's where the boats will pick up.
Yes, that is correct. It'll be right downstairs there.
And do you know about how many total will be able to fit on those 3 boats?
It's about 120 people we can take.
So if you
And
want to be, you better get there at 6.
yes.
Well, thank you, Miss Massey, and thanks to all the folks at Area 7. I know you guys really had to hustle to put this together, and this is a great opportunity. Thank you so much. All right, moving right along. Thank you to the Area 7 folks, and make sure that you get on one of those boats because that's a pretty good value. I think they're in Mark World, they're expensive to get them. Advocacy, we'll probably do this a little bit different. Robin has put together a list for a bill watch that we're going to send out in a legislative update. There are several bills that we're watching, but there's nothing of major note. If you want to know about Gary Gates's bill, that's House Bill 20. But again, it's nothing that's not already happening. There's one bill that goes from attendance to enrollment-based funding, but doesn't change the career tech funding model. So there's no bill that we're really concerned with. Everything that's in legislation that would impact CTE right now would either be neutral or positively impacted. But if you're interested, you can certainly go to the CTE priorities page on the CTAT website. District of Distinctions. Wow, we've had tremendous response from this. Again, I think we've had nearly 40 apply for District of Distinction. This is going to be a great opportunity. Those that win, we're going to announce the winners at conference. They'll have a banner and a plaque mailed to them along with a media package. This is a great opportunity for you to get the recognition you deserve for having literally being a district of distinction and having great district programs. So congratulations to all you guys that applied. And we hope that all of you earn it. And they'll be scored. I think I heard Lindsay say scoring will end tomorrow. And we'll be getting that information out to those specific districts post haste. Also, one other thing to cover is the leadership CTAT. If you're a member and you've been in for over 3 years and you have experience as in career and technical education, and you're kind of dipping your toe into wanting to be a leader in your area or possibly serve on the board, or just maybe be a committee chairman, however it is you want to support CTE past the district level, then this may be an opportunity for you. And you can see all the dates there. It'll be from 10 to 11 January 16th, February 20th, March 27th, April 17th, and May 15th. That's 5 different meetings. And in those meetings, we're going to cover governance, financial management of CTAT, advocacy, how we go about lobbying and working with state legislatures, volunteers, how you can be successful on the board, how do conferences and other events work, kind of a behind the scenes look, how does marketing look and member engagement, and also about goal setting for yourself. I really think that if you're starting to get to that place where you think, well, I'd like to do something past the district level, then leadership CTAT may be the opportunity for you to join. And so we appreciate you guys for looking into that. And it's just an opportunity if you're at that spot where you really want to get involved. Also, as a heads up, Lindsay has put together an incredible mail out to the superintendents. And this is what it will look like. And it's going out through the old snail mail, but it'll be full of QR codes. See, Chelsea, you didn't know that, did you? It'll be full of QR codes that your superintendent can scan, and it'll tell your superintendent all about what CTAT offers and what is available. And also the superintendent will be able to scan this QR code and sign up for a complimentary one-day registration pass where they can actually come to the CTAT conference for a day free of charge if they are the superintendent at the district. They can't send a superintendent's designee. It has to be the superintendent. But we'd really like for the superintendents not only to see what you guys are doing at the district, but see how CTAT can support districts in the state. And so this is what the mailer will look like. And we just wanted to do that to make sure that you got a heads up. And when your superintendent sees it and asks you about it, you'll say, oh, yeah, I know all about that. Also, Sherry sent an email the other day talking about President Biden signed the Social Security Fairness Act into law. And what this may mean is that if you're a Texas teacher right now, well, you couldn't draw Texas teacher retirement and Social Security. Well, now let's say that you've been a teacher 10 years and you've paid into Social Security 30 years doing something else. You may very well be able to draw both. So Chelsea had the idea of possibly at the next roundtable getting someone from TRS to come in here and talk about this with a little bit more detail and someone that can answer questions. But this appears to be the deal, and this will be a great deal for teachers, especially if you've contributed to both over the years. Also, the rumor mill has it that TEA may tier the IBCs. This could, and I underline could, mean that some IBCs will be worth more than others in weight on A through F accountability. We don't know that for sure. That's just one possibility. And specifically, Travis was at a meeting or had someone send him this slide. This is the specific slide that they're showing at the meetings for the upcoming A through F refresh. Now, I don't like this because this is going to lead to a EMT certification being worth more on A through F or accountability or being declared worth than an AWS. And so I just think that we ought to reward the kids for their achievement within their career goal. You may have different opinions because I certainly see the other side of it. And I realize that some certificates that are state are certainly worth more in terms of job attainability than certain just certifications. So, but that all being said, high schools are still an exploratory space for many students. And so I don't want us to get in the business of promoting certain career pathways just because a certification within that career pathway may be worth A through F. I don't know. And again, that's just my initial thought on it. And maybe as we get more, we'll see it later. But that seems to be the trial balloon that they're floating out, the commissioner with certain superintendents throughout the state. Now, we're going to move on to our CTAT chat updates. And of course, those are brought to you by Chelsea Reeves. And typically, Chelsea would be doing these with her dog, Jasper Tweed, who's a beautiful little puppy and a great dog and a companion for Chelsea. However, Jasper is at training school and he's at boarding school. And there's a picture of him that Chelsea got the other day. He's right in there. But so it'll be Chelsea all by herself without Jasper today doing the updates. Chelsea?
Hey, once again, I want to ease your concerns that Jasper is not at a correction facility. He is actually going through his certification process so that way he can meet all of you and join me where I am. So he is in great hands and he's learning lots and we're getting lots of updates. I was a little sad that I missed his first snow day since he is part Burmese mountain dog, but we got a great video of him today, even one of him making yellow snow. So he's having a blast, loving every minute of it. Here we go. We spotlight important things that you can find in the CTAT chat, which comes to you once monthly from the desk of Mark Boshier. But we find that this time together to talk through it is meaningful because if you, like me, get an inbox full of hundreds of messages, then sometimes they float to the bottom or float to the top, or we just skim through. So always start off your day by reading that first thing in the chat. That is the to-do list. So for January, Mark, if you'll go back one, please, sir. Thank you. If you'll just take a look at those things and then keep in mind that not only do we have our winter conference coming up in February, but it's also CTE month. So don't let that sneak up on you. Take great time and care to solidify what you're doing, but you can review that January to-do list here, as well as in the chat that you have received in your inbox. Next up, tomorrow we actually have our CTAT Membership 101. So if you are new to CTAT or you need a CTAT refresh, this is a great opportunity for you to join the CTAT leadership team from 10 to 10:30 tomorrow. And that is a pre-registered opportunity. So go onto the website, you can grab that link, you can register for that, and we'll meet via Zoom tomorrow morning. Just some additional updates. On December 18th, 2024, so last year, last year, because we're in 2025, but just a month ago, at the November 2024 meeting, the State Board of Education approved for first reading and filing authorization proposed new TEKS. So always, when we are looking at pulling TEKS for teachers, especially if you had some new to you teachers this school year, or you just got back from an in-service day or things like that, make sure that you're pulling the most up-to-date and most recent. And then do note that the public comment period for these TEKS are effective through January 21st. So review those with your teachers, garner their input, garner your business and industry partners' input, and then provide that open feedback via public comment. And then the earliest possible date of adoption is this month. So it is likely that what is published, if there are no changes, will be adopted. So once those are adopted, we want to start using them. So flag these classes, these courses, and make sure we're utilizing the most up-to-date TEKS. On the TEA Learn website, there are CTE professional development opportunities. Launched live are the work-based learning modules, CTE 101, and then CTE 102 is coming soon. So if you have a new hire at semester that's teaching practicum or career prep or employability, general employability, you want them to take those work-based learning modules and make sure that they're in good standing for those. You have been made aware multiple times that there are new career and technical student organization grant awardees. However, we want to continue to make you aware of them should you learn about them from other entities, such as your athletic director might come to you and say, hey, what do you know about the Future Coaches of Texas Association? Or you might have a business and industry partner that says, hey, we work closely with the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association, and now they have a new CTSO. So familiarize yourself with these parties, but know that they won't be implemented until next school year. But that takes time. And then I can see in the chat that Heather said that CTE 102 should now be live in Teal. So Heather, thank you for letting us know. So if you successfully took CTE 101 and you're wanting to take that CTE 102, go for it. Or if you have those up and coming leaders that would benefit from that, campus administrator, counselors, anyone that would benefit from that. But going back to these new CTSOs, take a good look at them, see how they compare to what you're already offering, or if they fill a void in what you don't currently provide, and then see if they are professional organizations that you want to involve with for CTSOs next year. We will have representation of those CTSOs, whether it be at winter this year or summer this year. So our hope is that you're able to connect with these different CTSOs so that way you can learn more about them in preparation for if you choose to involve your school district with them next year. A little known fact about Mark Boshier, he is the most highly decorated, currently active military member in the country. I don't know where he finds all the time to do it, but there he is looking good with all those medals. But the TEA has successfully reached an agreement with the Department of Defense, and the DoD data will be the source of military enlistment of Texas public school graduates beginning with 2026 accountability. So we're still utilizing the Teal upload platform for this school year for the DD form. Oh, I think I'm getting feedback, y'all. I thought someone trying to say something? Okay. The DD Form 4s. So, but moving forward, they will actually pull that information in partnership with the Department of Defense. The 2024 taper was published on December 12th. So pull that information if you haven't reviewed it. But this release does not include the campus or district 2024 accountability reports. And then the issuance of those 2024 A through F ratings are still pending. And then go back one, please, Mark. Thanks, Vanna. TPRS integrates state and federal reporting requirements into a single reporting system. So definitely check that out. And if you need support in walking through how to access that, just give Mark or I a ring or your ESC CTE specialist, and we'd be happy to support y'all. Finally, the Student Assessment Data Validation Manual was published on December 12th. It's the PBM system, and that's developed in response to state and federal statute. It's designed to improve student performance and program effectiveness. And then it is a data-driven system that relies on data submitted by PEMS. So therefore, the integrity of your data is critical. So review that as well and download that data validation manual, see where your role comes in, and then work to support those that are responsible for it. College preparatory course approval window and rubric update. So this week, back in December, the Division of CCMP released a guide to this process. If you are over CCMR or TSIA plus or college prep course testing, or if that is also like your college bridge, anything like that, your document includes the faculty review criteria and application. That application is now open and will close on January 31st. This is specific for those partners that you're working with, but you want to make sure that you've done your due diligence to ensure that your partner is an allowed party to utilize. So definitely check that out if that falls within your role of responsibility. PEMS frequently asked questions. So are data submitted during PEMS correction resubmission windows used for accountability? So if there are no fatal errors in the resubmission, yes, LEAs have until each PEMS resubmission deadline to make corrections to incomplete and or inaccurate data, but LEAs are not required to send a resubmission of PEMS data. Texas OnCourse is retiring the College for All Texans website. So in order to ensure Texans are directed to the most updated and accurate information, THECB, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, plans to retire the College for All Texans, and then all relevant content will be moved to My Texas Future on an ongoing basis. So if you, in partnership with your counseling and advising staff, have utilized those resources, don't keep those bookmarked, move over to the My Texas Future. And then this guy from Cheers, that is one of Mark's heroes, said he and Ma were looking for documentation that states when use of funds are allowed, such as CTE allotment being used within 3 years. And they found the following answer. So the state CTE allotment funds are provided annually. The spending requirement is annual. Each year, students generate funds, and each year the funds generated are required to be spent on those students. There's an annual spending requirement of 55% that must be spent directly. And then for compliance purposes, TEA uses a 3-year rolling average to measure the minimum spending requirement was met. So we know, and we use in common language, this year's funds needs to be spent on this year's students. So you'll hear that from us often. So here, oh, Mark, go back, please. You ruined my joke, Mark.
So tacky.
Oh man, he's going to skip right over it. Hey, so Mark said that Jasper Tweed was sent to corrections, but actually he heard all of the terrible things that Mark has been saying about him. And then he saw all the photos that Mark's been sharing. And so he's following in his daddy's footsteps. And you can go to the next slide, Mark. And he's actually going to the Law and Public Safety Conference this summer hosted by CTAT. So that way he can make sure that Mark stays out of trouble. And if he needs to, he can pick him up. So Mark, back to you.
So tacky. So we always look for CTE in the news, and we try to find something. And what came up in the Google search this month was that at Texas A&M, the Center for Teaching Excellence hosted the 34th annual CTE Scholars Award Luncheon, and the Montague CTE Award was named in honor of Kenneth Montague, class of 37 for you Aggies. And anyway, it was just a fantastic award, and it shows you what type of support and recognition that CTE leaders get across the state. So we decided to highlight something in post-secondary. Thank you, A&M, for that awards and recognizing CTE scholars. Our spotlight for Service Center this month was Region 12 Service Center. And of course, Terry and Becky, there at Region 12 certainly do fantastic work. And they play a vital role in supporting career tech, not just at Region 12, but across the state. We all know how much they help out to all leaders, and we appreciate those guys being at conference and doing trainings and being support. So kudos to Region 12 CTE. And now we're moving into the part where we're going to talk about the ACT National or the ACT Leadership Fellows Program. And Robin reached out to Allison to specifically cover the Region 4 Fellows. And I know that we've had several people, Katie and Paul. And so, Robin, do you and Allison mind taking it away?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. And I'm so glad that when my picture's up there, it's not, it doesn't include my pets. So you guys are all spared that one. So I'm sorry, Chelsea, that you've taken it on the chin. But yeah, and just very briefly, talk about ACT Region Fellows 4 program and Leadership CTAT and the ACT National Fellows Program. Those are all aimed at those who are interested in getting more involved at the volunteer level. And so, like Mark said, if that's where you are, these kinds of programs are for you. I do want to give a shout out to Tally Jo Stout. She's our immediate past president. The Leadership CTAT series that starts next week, if you're interested, registration closes today or tomorrow. She championed this program, its development. She is a staunch supporter of CTAT, and she's lived a life of service in addition to her professional career. And so Leadership CTAT is her way of helping us set up long-term, a strong pathway to growing new leaders in our organization. So if that's of interest to you, be sure and register. So yes, Allison Beliveau from Area 2 and CT Director from Rockwell ISD has been participating in the ACTE Region 4 Fellows Program this past year. The next cohort will be identified soon. If you're interested in applying, look for an email from CTAT coming today or tomorrow, I believe. The application deadline is January 31st. And Allison has agreed to share a few words of advice, the know before you apply, so that you have a better understanding of the program's goals and expectations for your participation. So please, Allison.
Yes, of course. Again, we're on a snow day today, so you know, I'm here in sweatpants. But I also noticed that Jacob Lusk is on the call. Jacob, are you still here?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Okay. Hey, so Jacob did the ACTE for fellows the year before me, and I don't know if Katie's on the call or not today. She did it, I think, before him. And so there's a couple of us that have done it that can help out if you're interested. And then there's the National Fellows, which I know Paul's on the call and he's done the National Fellows. And I've heard that's a lot more work. So kudos to Paul. I haven't done that. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that. But I've been going to ACTE Region 4 for, gosh, well over 10 years, I'd say. And serving on a committee on behalf of CTAT. Each state gets, you know, a committee member in several different committees. And so when I heard about the Fellows Program, I thought, okay, well, maybe it's time that I need to go ahead and do that and learn a little bit more. So some of the things I would say, this is for you, is if you're really good at networking or you want to become good at networking, you do need to make sure that you know, when you go to the conferences, that you attend different things and you meet different people and you just really focus on networking. Of course, it's our 6 states, so you know, willingness to learn about the different states and work with the different states. You know, Texas gets 2 reps because we have CTAT and TIVA. The other states do not; they get 1 rep. So CTAT has 1 rep and TIVA has 1 rep. We meet monthly on Zoom. But there are some traveling, you know, requirements. So you have to be available and willing and funding the travel. So, you know, I've been going to the conferences, you know, for several years, but you have to go to the ACTE the first year you're about to start, which is the year that the outgoing people, so that would be this April in Oklahoma City, which registration is opening next week. So then that would be your first one of the commitment, and then the following year would be your second one, and that's where you're going to present. So I went last year and watched Jacob present, and then this year I will be presenting with our team. And then it's not required, but it's highly encouraged that you go to Vision. So, you know, of course, we had Vision here in San Antonio this last year, and I've gone to Vision several times. I've also done the online that started during COVID. I don't recommend that at all. You get interrupted.
I think Allison froze, Robin, or was that me?
Mm-hmm.
Robin, could you finish up? Do you mind?
I don't mind. I'm wondering if she's, 1 second. Allison, can you hear us? Yeah, old man winter can be brutal up there. He might have gotten our internet. I just saw something in the chat asking if when information is going to come out. We have an email called Digital Dispatch that comes to members, and we've got several things in there coming out. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow or Monday, but the link to apply for the ACTE Region 4 Fellows Program will be in there. And then there was another question about when leadership CTAT participants can expect to receive access information. And same thing, we'll get that out to everyone who registered, since registration closes today or Friday. We'll send that out to everybody either tomorrow or Monday, and we'll get started next week. And just to follow up with what Allison was mentioning, it's, you know, I think when I was talking to Jacob Lusk about his experience, I said, well, was it any different than what you were expecting? He said, well, it really was. He said, there's a lot more emphasis on how to support your state association as a volunteer. And he thought initially it would be to learn what other states do with their CTE programs, how they're funded, the roles of a CTE administrator in other states. And it wasn't that. It really was focused on volunteer service. So if that's important to know before you apply.
Jacob, is there anything
Okay.
Jacob, anything you could add while we're still on that topic?
I know that this cohort, they do some leadership development, and it's somewhat similar to the next gen leaders, but just at a region level. So each month they may focus on a different state and maybe different leadership skills, part of their book study. But yeah, it was great just hearing from different state representatives and learning. I was always asking the questions about funding and some of their rules and regulations that they have to abide by. So great ideas to hear what other states are doing, and sometimes with limited funding because not all states have that dedicated funding from their state legislature like we do. So it was a neat experience. I did enjoy it, but Robin was right. It was heavy on ACTE and each state's ACT organization and how they advocate for their programs.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, while we have Robin and Jacob, and I know that Allison is probably trying to reboot, does anyone have any questions about leadership CTAT or the Region 4 Fellows Program? Now's the time to ask. I'm just looking across the screen here, Robin. Boy, there sure are a lot of good candidates looking right at us.
Actually, I think several of them could lead the program, to be
No doubt.
perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Is it all right? Well, you let me know when it's appropriate to jump in on legislative items.
Now, I didn't know how much you wanted to get into it, but yes, please. Robin just got back from the Capitol, and Robin, if you don't mind, now would be perfect.
So y'all want the weather report for Central Texas? It is nasty out there. No, I was fortunate enough to be invited to the swearing in for State Board of Education Representative Tom Maynard. This is the start of his 5th term on the SPOE, and he's been a fabulous friend to Career and Tech. So it was really an honor to be at the old Supreme Court room on the 3rd floor of the Capitol with a lot of people that have done so much for our state. Impressive amount of people showing support for Tom and his next term of service. So in the spirit of talking about legislative session and grassroots advocacy, we've got a special guest joining us today. Legislative session's coming up. It's right around the corner. It starts January 14th. And CTAT's board of directors, they understand the importance of having expertise on our side. As you may recall, last session, school finance bill had a provision that would have been devastating for Career and Tech had it passed. Our special guest on today's roundtable is Dr. Michelle Smith of Smith Advocacy. She began her journey in public education as a music teacher before getting into policy work many, many years ago at the state level. And she herself has worked as an executive director for Fast Growth Schools and later Raise Your Hand Texas. And she has extensive experience lobbying in the education space. And in a podcast she did last month, Dr. Smith said, "Gone are the days of associations relying on their lobbyists and staff to push policy through or stop bills from advancing." She said, "We're in a place now where grassroots is an incredibly important and often overlooked part of the process." She also stressed the importance of involving members in developing legislative policy positions and legislative agenda. We've had members develop CTAT's policy agenda for many years now, but we recognize a tremendous potential growth sector here in supporting our members with grassroots advocacy. So our board asked Dr. Smith to help develop resources and tools that you guys can use to do just that. It's true in most circumstances and politics is no exception, that relationships matter. The sooner you offer to be a resource to your elected officials, the better. So here to talk more about grassroots advocacy and the tools developed is Dr. Michelle Smith. Please feel free to post questions in the chat and we'll relay those to her as she makes her remarks. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Robin. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's a crazy day. I'm in Belton right now, and I'm looking out the window, and it's just getting nastier by the minute over here with the weather. So hopefully the internet will hold on tight here for a little bit. I'm really excited to be able to visit with you. It's been so much fun. I've known Robin for a long time, but it's been so much fun to get to know her staff. Y'all are funny. Y'all are really funny. And I just love meeting with you and seeing the joy that you bring to your work every day. So kudos to Robin and her staff. As she said, I was brought on in a consulting role to work on a specific project for CTAT, and it basically has to do with site visits. And the reason that Robin and I really honed in on this is because I've seen the power of bringing elected officials onto campuses for them to see the good work that you're doing day in and day out with kids. And, you know, they know that that work is going on. Hopefully they know. But when they see it firsthand, they remember it. And I go back to a story that I'm sure Robin's tired of hearing me tell, but we had this one senator when I was working at Raise Your Hand, Texas, that we took him in to see a particular program. He was just blown away by this program. And he talked about it for years afterwards when he was in committees, when he was making big decisions from a school finance perspective. And you could see that light bulb go on over and over and over again when he thought about that one visit that he had onto a campus. And it just really made a powerful impression on him. And I think particularly from the career tech perspective, it's so tangible, you know, for them to walk in and to see those programs and understand what an impact it has on your community, both for those kiddos and for the workforce in general. And so we put together some documents that I always think documents are in a little bit of a draft form because I love for people to give them input. So we're going to share the link with you for you to be able to see those documents. And basically, it's just an event planning document for you if you want to have a site visit with your elected officials for them to come out and see your program. There's a lot of language in there for you to use if you want to do press releases. There's kind of an example spreadsheet of a run of show. There's even a power mapping exercise for you to decide who needs to be at those site visits. And the reason I bring that up specifically is people tend to think about just a legislator and their superintendent and a board member and all of these people that are really intricately involved with the program. What I would encourage you to do is to think about other people in your community that may also have existing relationships with your elected official. And the reason I bring that up is, let's say you have a really influential business owner that is impacted by your CTE program. And for you to bring that person along to that site visit and for them to be able to stand there with the elected official and say, this is why this is important. Pay attention that our school districts are building our workforce. It benefits my business. And that's why you need to pay attention, Mr. or Mrs. Legislator. And so it's an exciting thing to think about for you to be able to bring people onto your campuses, to show them what's going on. And then to also engage those advocates during the legislative session and call them up and say, hey, can you call our senator? Can you call our House rep and ask them to support or oppose this particular piece of legislation that's important to the CTE community? So that's why that document was put together on your behalf. And I'm happy to answer any questions as you look through it. Or even any suggestions for improvement in the future. And I'll pause right there and see if there's a particular direction, Robin, you'd like me to go with any other remarks.
Well, I'm curious if anybody has any questions going into the legislative session, just in general. If you want to give some commentary or some context on how this year is shaping up to be different than in years past, I think they might enjoy that.
Hey, so Robin, real quick, I would like to say, so we love the documents, Michelle. So from the Conroe ISD's perspective, we were actually scheduled today to host the first site visit for us here in Conroe. In that, we thought today was going to be, Snowapalooza, a little icy. We didn't get it till later this afternoon, so it was kind of the site we had chose is under stage 8 of being in construction, and so we did reach out to our legislators. And I will tell you, using this tool, and I'd worked with some of them are friends. Using this tool, even when we rescheduled, they were all very intrigued about coming. So they all responded back, oh my gosh, we weren't able to do that the first time, but it looks like if you reschedule, we're going to be able to. But the thing that it helped with, because I do feel like I have that legislator connection. I've gotten to legislative leave through Texas FFA as a CTAT president. I've had a lot of that opportunity. I got to work with Michelle. The piece that this gave us was we used part of the tools to share with our communications department, our principal, our AP, our department chair. And so by using the tool, the running list of exactly what was going to happen, like they took a deep breath within 2 seconds and we're like, hey, this is all going to go great. And so I do think it has valuable pieces in it. We used the email. We tried to use it exactly how it was, except tweak it. Like my team made a flyer, because when we would send the email, it was just dynamic and popped and things like that. So we were going to do, instead of a presentation, we had a handout. And so we're going to add all of our tools in there because we're still doing this in the spring. We're also using it to have connections with our legislators in the next few weeks. So because we opened the door of communication to invite them, they've responded to that email. We're going to blast out some information about CTE and connecting them. So Michelle, I'm excited to see the tool grow, and thank you.
I love that feedback. That's really exciting to hear that it was helpful for your team. It was written from the perspective of, a really large school district has an amazing communications team, but most of our school districts are much smaller than that. And so it was really meant to inspire people to just pull it up and go, yeah, that language, that press release is already written. That invitation is already written. Because y'all have so many other things on your plate that we wanted to make it really easy for you. So you just made my day. So thank you very much. Yeah. I would say from a legislative perspective, and it's a great transition, is, school districts are thinking about who to invite to come onto their campus, is that this particular legislative session is going to be so unusual in that we have a lot of really new faces that haven't been in the legislature before. Their staff hasn't been in the Capitol before. So you have to assume that a lot of the offices that you're going into or the people that you're calling, they just don't know what the history is. And so you've got to start at square one with folks, both staffers and legislators this session, which also presents a really great opportunity to say, hey, come visit our campus. Because they really may not know what's going on in a CTE program, and they haven't been heavily influenced one way or the other on a school finance bill or whatever. But just bringing them in as a fresh pair of eyes and a fresh perspective. And I think CTE is also a really great way to bring in a diverse set of legislators. That would be my other advice for you moving into this session, is to just don't assume that people are friend or foe on the CTE issue in particular. I know a lot of really conservative legislators who want to be helpful on the CTE front in a way that they might not be helpful on other education issues, because it's going to be a really polarizing session. But I think on CTE issues, there's an entry point for you with a variety of audiences. So that would be my other advice as well. And then just politically speaking, we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the speaker's race. The session starts on January the 14th. There's 2 names that have bubbled to the top to replace Dade Phelan as speaker because he has stepped aside. One of them is David Cook from the Mansfield area. And then we have Dustin Burrows from the Lubbock area. And people have lots of opinions about those folks. There's lots of people getting involved from outside the Capitol, which is highly unusual. You're watching history being made right now as far as people from outside the Capitol getting involved in the Texas speaker's race. That's unheard of. But here in Belton, I get mailers on a daily basis saying, call Brad Buckley and tell him to vote for David Cook for the speaker's race. So the Republican Party's gotten really involved. Lots of people outside the Capitol have gotten really involved. The rumors are right now that it's leaning more and more toward David Cook, that he's actually starting to court the relationship with some of the Democrats, which the deep conservative Republicans don't like for them to build bridges across parties. But that's just how you have to run a speaker's race to get elected, if you're not going to be able to get all the Republicans on the same side, which is where we are right now with David Cook versus Dustin Burrows. So TBD, it's almost here, thank goodness. Like, please, can we get on with the session and know who's going to be in the driver's seat for the House, and how that person's going to get along with the governor and the light gov, so that we can just get on with it and advocate for kids and advocate for your programs. Mark, I think you're on mute.
Chelsea, can you hear me there?
I can now.
Boy, technology, it's terrific unless you really need it. I'm going to get me one of those headsets like Ted's, where I can. But Dr. Smith, thank you so much. I think that you undersell. Dr. Smith's been a heavy hitter in Austin for years, and we are so fortunate to have your perspective and the addition that you have brought to add on to the work that Marty and MJ's already doing. It's just been invaluable, and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Mark. You have really good representation in the Capitol with Marty and MJ, and I think adding that extra layer of grassroots advocacy and empowering your members just makes the organization even more powerful. So happy to help.
I have one question for you, Dr. Smith. If you had to just in a couple of words, what do you think the state of CTE is legislatively as far as the support and the environment at the Capitol this year?
I haven't. I'm probably not the best person to speak to that, just because I haven't advocated on that issue at the Capitol before. When I was at my previous organization, I just know that it was such a powerful storytelling tool of the value that our public schools bring to kids' lives. Because where I was working, we were working against the voucher issue, and so we would always say to people, public schools are what bring communities together. That the CTE programs are what training our students for the workforce, and so it was a storytelling tool for us. So from a policy perspective, just because I haven't advocated on those issues, I'm not totally up to speed on where all of our legislators are on the issues.
Well, we certainly
That's
appreciate
just me being completely honest.
No, that is terrific. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well,
Robin,
no, Mark, you went and visited personally with the last session's chair of House Pub Ed, Representative Brad Buckley. So what did you hear Dr. Buckley say during your visit?
Well, and of course, I went up there, and Robin got sick at the last minute. Her and Robin and Ray and I were going to go, and of course, this was based all upon advice from Michelle and Marty and MJ, and we got to go visit with Dr. Buckley in Salado, and it was very. I was telling Robin yesterday that I think that was probably the best I felt after speaking to a legislator, because of course, we were going there with one mission: are they going to touch the funding mechanism for CTE? And based on what happened at the last session, he was just adamant that if he had any say in it, that was not going to happen. And but anyway, getting those one-on-one conversations and like Dr. Smith was saying, once you can get them out into your districts and they can see what you're doing. And Dr. Buckley actually took it upon himself to go visit several districts, so he's in the know and he has a lot of knowledge of education. But if you can get those folks in your district and just have 5 minutes with them of kind of direct face-to-face time, it's invaluable. And that'd be my takeaway from it, Robin.
And I think the only other thing I'd add to that is, Brad Buckley's a veterinarian. And so finding out what your legislators are passionate about in the workforce space, I think is really important so that you can begin to tie all that together for them. That the CTE issue really resonates with Brad Buckley, particularly because of his day job.
So we're running pretty close to an hour right now. Does anyone have any questions for the group before I stop the recording? Dr. Lazar, thank you for the heads up on the information from the superintendent's meeting. And we took that to the area presidents. And of course, 2 or 3 of them had heard it too. So thank you for that. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. Does anybody know when the Perkins reallocation is going to be released?
I haven't seen anything on it. Does it?
This morning we were told it is not, it's delayed. So we were told that this morning at the superintendent's meeting that we had.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. Heather, have any of you guys heard anything at the service center on that at all?
No word either.
Great question.
We're wondering the same thing.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Well, I'm going to stop the recording here because we're right at an hour and that seems to be what fits best. But thank you guys so much for being here today. And I guess we'll have the next roundtable will be at conference on, so look forward to that. And anyway, thank you guys. And we're going to stop the recording right now and head into the Slack.